Hello again, everyone. This is a very exciting pen video today. These are kind of pen videos that I can't film all the time because it happens so rarely. This is one of my Grail pens that I'm going to be showing you today. This is probably my third Grail pen, and I'm noticing a theme with my Grail pens. They all seem to be larger size, probably because they're more expensive when they're larger size. But this particular one is the Sailor King of Pen. And this is in the Pro Gear model. They also have sort of the 1911 shape that's rounded on the ends, but I was actually looking for one in the Pro Gear model because it is a little shorter than the other one, and I thought I would like that length better. And this one happened to be on an incredible sale at Endless Pens over the 4th of July holiday. So this was actually a pre-order, but it did not take as long as their pre-orders normally do. Their pre-orders can take quite a while depending on, where they're sourcing their pen. But this one, it must have been coming in rather quickly because they shipped it not long after they shipped just all the in-stock orders. So this particular one is called Storm Over the Ocean, and it's actually a fairly new color. Now, if I had my choice of absolutely any King of Pen, would I choose this one over a different one? I really don't know. They have some really fun colors like a bright yellow or something, and I thought that would be pretty nice. But this is actually, it's various shades of purple, which I do like purple. So you have sort of this lavender on the ends, and then there's a deeper purple inside. It's got a little bit of sparkle, probably representing the ocean. I really kind of like the name Storm Over the Ocean. That goes well with the color, and it just came together in the price and aesthetics and model that I wanted, so that's why I got it. All right, and this has a medium nib. I have not inked it up yet, but I am going to test it for you today, so that'll be the first time using this pen ever. So I am going to ink it up with a Sailor ink just to give it its full due, I guess, with its first inking. So I am going to ink it up with Sailor Manyo Kikyu, which is a dark blue, so it's not entirely matchy-matchy with the purple pen, but I think it'll coordinate well. And at some point I may find an ink that is more matchy-matchy. One of the ones I was considering was Robert Oster's Sydney Lavender, I think that's the name of it. And that seemed to be a pretty good match, but I did really want to try the Sailor ink with a Sailor pen just to kind of get the maximum experience possible, if that makes sense. So I'm going to fill this, and then I'm also going to test it on the old Tomoe River paper. I have a sheet of that here, and then I am also going to test it on this newer notepad. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see that better. On this newer notepad, which I got from Jet Pens, and this is by Kleid Stationery. And I think that the paper in here is OK Fools. It's like a bank paper. And I did some testing of a variety of papers, trying to find a replacement for the old Tomoe River paper. And honestly, I don't know that I really have yet. But as I remember, this was one of the ones I liked a little bit more than, say, the Cosmo Air Light. So we'll see if that holds up, and I'm just going to test it in here on maybe one of the back pages. But it's also this really nice little notebook. But as with most of the really nice notebook papers, in notebook form, they're not super cheap. This was, I think, $20 for the notebook, but it has quite a few pages. It doesn't, oh, here it is, 80 sheets. So, that's a fairly decent amount. And it does come in this kind of square shape, which I thought was a little bit original. All right, so I'm going to put all the paper off to the side, and let's go ahead and fill this pen. All right, I'm going to get out my inky shop towel to put under here, and I'll also use that to wipe the ink off the nib. So I think I mentioned that I got a medium nib. So this is really the reason to get the King of Pen, in my opinion, is the nib. It's kind of a monster nib. and it's much, much bigger than the sort of standard size nib, and definitely bigger than the like the Sailor Pro Gear Slim nibs, which are a little bit smaller. So, and from what I've heard, because this is 21 karat gold, it should have a little bit more give. Usually the Sailor nibs tend to be a little bit more stiff, but I'm hoping this will have a little bit more give. All right. And it did come with a converter already seated in here. So I debated whether I wanted to just put ink in the converter and then fill it that way, or if I wanted to fill up with the converter through the nib. And I think I'm going to do it that way, just to kind of prime the nib at the same time that I'm filling the pen. So let's go ahead and get in here. And the nib unit portion, or this part of the pen, is quite heavy compared to other Sailor pens. And I can actually see there's a little window here where I can see the ink level. So I'm going to do this at least twice because it didn't really do a full fill, although it looks like it's pretty full upon the second turn. So I'm going to leave that there for just a second, close up the ink bottle, put off the other components, and then I am going to clean the grip section and the nib a little bit. It doesn't really have to be, you know, super clean because you are going to get ink on it. All right, so let's put the back on, and for right now, oh, looks like I got a little dot of ink there. Okay, so I'm going to put the cap on while I get my paper back out and move this over to the side. Okay, so let's start with a Tomoe River paper, mostly because I kind of know what to expect from various pens on Tomoe River paper. And I have yet to try the latest iteration of Tomoe River paper, so we will see. I still don't think it's really made it to the American market, which is kind of interesting. At least I haven't seen it, but then I also have not been actively looking for it. Okay, so I did hold this a little bit and try out different iterations. I posted it, which is almost comfortable, but I think it's just a little bit back heavy, and then it could rub against my hand there. So I think this is going to be an unposted writer. Okay, so this is, let's see, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is such a lovely nib. Oh, that's good. That's always a good that's always a good way to start on an expensive pen like this. Okay, so this is a Sailor, and I'm glad I got the medium because the medium line is pretty broad because it does have a little bit of flexiness. So this is the Sailor Pro Gear King of Pen, and I've been told it really is just King of Pen, not King of Pens. Yeah, so he's a king of only one pen. I think there's a reason for that, but I truly have forgotten. And this is the Storm Over the Ocean colorway. And then the ink, which seems to be a really beautiful ink with this, it flows really, really well, is Sailor Manyo Kikyu. And you know what I haven't done in a long time on the channel? The Quick Brown Fox. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to do it in cursive first. Okay, so it does have a little bit of feedback, I'm not gonna lie, but it's really, really smooth for a Sailor nib. Sailor nibs always have a little bit of feedback, so I'm fine with that and knew what to expect. But it really is a beautiful, beautiful nib. I had actually considered putting this nib on a different pen because there are, you can get an adapter from Shown Designs, but it only works on certain Shown Design pens, to hold a size 8 Bach nib, and then Flexible Nib Factory has housings that you can put your King of Pen nib in that will fit in that Bach size 8 nib section or grip section. So at some point, maybe I'll do that if I get tired of this colorway. But I also am a little bit hesitant to do that right away just because I don't want to be pulling this nib out of its housing, which is what you have to do to make that work. And everything is so smooth on this pen. That's not necessarily different from other Sailors I've tried, but this definitely feels like a substantial pen. Like this part is pretty heavy. This part is pretty heavy. So if you like a lighter pen, this is probably not your choice. And if you don't like big nibs, this is probably not your choice. So let's do just regular block lettering, which I don't do that often. So I'm a little rusty. Cursive is just so much faster, and it's kind of my comfort zone for writing regularly. So there you go. And you can see it's a pretty wet line like that. And that's probably also due to the ink. I don't know if you can see that, but oh yeah, they're in the, you can see the light reflecting off of the ink pooling up. It's starting to dry now, but I probably wouldn't, you know, immediately swipe my hand over that because it would be wet. But it does, you know, just takes a few minutes to sink down into the paper. And the Sailor ink also tends to be a somewhat wetter ink, which I prefer. I prefer that over drier inks, but this is a lovely combination. I'm really, really happy with that. So before we go, let's try that other paper. I'm going to put this off to the side. I might bring it back out at the end to compare. And what is nice about this notebook is it does have that little closure there. I'm going to go ahead and go in the back just because this is the first use of this notebook. So let's see. And this is actually in the pad, so we'll see if it bleeds through or we have any issues with that. And let me try writing with it posted and see how I feel about that. And these little grid lines in here are super tiny. I would not be writing within these grid lines. I'm just going to kind of use it as a guide to give me a straight line. Okay, so again, this is the, oh, it's nice, but not as nice as the old Tomoe River paper. Sailor Pro Gear, King of Pen. And then again, the ink is Sailor Manyo Kikyu. Oh, this is really a lovely, lovely writer. I'm so glad that I'm happy with it. And I'm so glad that it writes really well right out of the box. I considered unboxing it on the channel, but the box was actually not that, it didn't have a lot of fanfare. So I thought that that would not be the best thing to do. Okay, so let me do the quick brown fox really quickly. But you can kind of hear that it has a little more feedback on this paper, or at least I can. And one of the reasons why large or long nibs like this work for me is because I tend to hold my pens further back. If you are one that likes to get right on top of your nib, bigger nibs are probably not for you because you're going to be holding it further back no matter what, just because of the length of the nib. Yeah, so a little more feedback on this paper, but I think it performs well. Would it be a replacement for Tomoe River? I don't know. And it's still not widely available in notebooks. This is actually the first notebook I've seen with this particular paper. I'll put a link to it just in case I got the type of paper wrong. I'm pretty sure it was a type of bank paper. And I thought it was the OK Fools paper, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, so let's see if there's a line weight difference. Yeah, so there actually is. It's the writing shows up a little bit larger on the Tomoe River paper, and that's probably because the Tomoe River paper is less absorbent. So because it is a coated paper, and I actually think this is a coated paper as well, but it's not very absorbent at all. So the ink kind of sits on the top, which sometimes can lead to a broader line. This one, the ink dried much faster because like I can go across that now, no problem. And that length of time, I couldn't have done that, but I can now. But the ink was drying pretty slowly on here compared to here. But it's, they're both lovely. And this is what I just noticed is this is a little bit more of an off-white than this is a bright white. And part of that might be amplified by the very tiny grids in here, if you can see. Super tiny grids. I don't know whose idea that was. I knew it was gridded paper, and I knew there were small grids, but I don't think I realized they were this small until I got it. But another nice thing with this notepad is it does have a little folder in the back here. So I think what I'm going to do actually is just fold this little piece of Tomoe River paper up and put it back here for now so that I have that documented there for my new Grail pen. Very, very happy. This is, so if you bought this full price, it would literally be about double what I paid for it. And so that's why this deal was something that I really had to take advantage of, because I've been looking for a King of Pen forever, and just really waiting for a deal because I just can't justify, like, you know, almost $1,000 for a pen, or, well, it's a little less than that, but depending on where you buy it too, because I think the retail price is like $1,000 in some, but then other places will sell it for a few $100s less. But yeah, it's crazy. But it's still an expensive pen, even with the big discount. I have seen some other King of Pen models on Endless Pens at a pretty deep discount, but this is definitely the deepest discount I've seen on their website for the King of Pen. And so I don't know if that particular pricing will come up again. But if you're in the market for a King of Pen, or, you know, some other pen that is a Grail pen to you that Endless Pens carries, I would definitely sort of stalk their site and see when they get things. And they even this was a 4th of July sale that I think lasted several days, like longer than, I can't remember if it was a full week or if it was just a few days, because they normally have a hop drop deal, what's called a hop drop deal, and you have to be signed up for their mailing list in order to sign into that. But there's usually some pretty deep discounts in that. I've mentioned it a few times on the channel, so if you've been watching for a while, you've definitely heard me mention them. But it really is a good way to get a really good deal on a pen. And I'm not sure about the warranty situation. I'm not sure if they're an authorized retailer for Sailor, and I don't know if that affects the warranty. But I mean, this is a really good quality brand, Sailor is. So I'm not really as worried in buying a more expensive pen from a brand like Sailor, because I know that they'll probably be pretty well made generally. But you never know. But I've never, I mean, I have a few Sailors less than other pens just because of their price, but I have not come across a true dud nib yet, at least in the gold nibs. So they're a pretty good brand, and you always know what to expect. You're going to get a little bit of feedback. It's not going to be super smooth, but this is definitely super smooth by comparison to other Sailor nibs. It is not as super smooth as, say, my Pelikan 800, which is like glass, like butter on glass. So I would say this is probably, what, maybe like an orange on glass? Like if you cut open an orange and then you dragged the cut side on glass. Probably less resistance than that, actually, but that's a little closer. It's not like hot butter on glass, but it is really lovely to write with. And that I just wanted to share this with you because I've been waiting a long time to get this pen. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoy this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time. But in the meantime, have a great day. And I'm not going to be showing too many new pens because I've been saving up my pen budget for things like this that come around. So trying to be a little more choosy when picking which pens I get. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. Take care.